Hey, greetings, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever you're watching. Welcome to another episode of Coaching for Coaches, the show that is designed to give coaching for coaches. Funny that, isn't it, the name? Today we're joined by the amazing, incredible master coach that is Hellen Georgiou. How are you, Hellen?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Very happy as well.
Great to have you with us. Great to have you with us. So for the benefit of everybody else that's watching, you are about to be a fly on the wall into a unplanned coaching session. Hellen has sent over some a bit of a brief for me to work with in this session, but other than that, we're effectively just gonna play. So Hellen, you've sent over some things for me to kind of bring up and discuss in the session today. But before I go into the notes that you've sent over for the session, I want to start by asking you a question.
Of course.
Let's pretend that it is the 8th of December 2022. And by coincidence or design, you and I are having a conversation.
Yeah.
And in that conversation, you're telling me about how the last 12 months of your life has been, of which pretty much all of it has been amazing, positive, everything that you wanted to have manifested in the last 12 months has happened in reality, gone from mind to reality. And when I ask you what's your secret, like what's been the difference maker, you say, well, there's been a lot of component parts to that, but there was a really, really important conversation that we had back on the 8th of December last year, where we went really, really deep. And there were some things that we spoke about that day that I think has really helped me. It's really been a key component part in what I've been able to create over the past 12 months. For that to be true, that result 12 months from now, Hellen, what did we talk about in that conversation on the 8th of December 2021?
It was the self-confidence in myself and how I overcame my confidence of putting myself out there, and to know that I was enough and that I shouldn't be worried about what other people are thinking. Because even though I had the imposter syndrome and I thought, no one's going to buy from me, no one's going to, get results from my coaching, I needed just to believe in myself, believe in my abilities, and know that I could help people and get the results that people were looking for. So I just needed to believe in myself, have the confidence in my abilities, and stop fearing like putting myself out there and like public speaking and just like doing lives and videos, and just stop being so fearful.
Okay. I'm making notes, just so you know, in case you thought I was not listening. I was writing down some key things. This term imposter syndrome, what does that spark for you? What does imposter syndrome mean to you, Hellen?
Pretending to be someone that I'm not. So basically, like me putting myself out there like I'm this professional master coach, and I don't have the confidence in myself. So I think that people are not going to see me like that. So they're gonna think like, oh, why is she like saying that she's a master coach? She's not done any coaching. She's got no testimonials, no reviews. Why are people going to go? Why is she promoting herself as a master coach? So that's why I think like, imposter syndrome, that, I don't have that confidence in myself to put myself out there as a coach, because people are going to think, well, she's got no clients, she's got no testimonials, she's got no reviews. So why would anyone go with Hellen?
Okay. And who is, in your mind, who is the kind of person that's likely to say that?
Everyone. People that know me.
Okay.
Yeah, people that know me.
Okay. And is there, you don't have to say who they are, but is there a particular person in mind that you think would say that?
No, just like general people around me that know me.
Okay. And what is important to you about their opinion?
That they see me as a professional and that I am a leader and I can, you know, I do know what I'm talking about, and that, you know, I am qualified in what I am talking about, and that, you know, and the services that I'm promoting.
Who in particular springs to mind as someone that you would want that validation from? Like, is there a particular person in mind?
Not really. Just, yeah, just like people close to me that know me, and it's just having that fear of like judgment and rejection. Like I feel like I'm rejecting myself before I get rejected by other people. So I feel like I'm self-sabotaging myself. So they don't say that. They haven't got a chance to say that. So yeah, they haven't got a chance to say it. So I don't put myself out there.
This term that you said, putting yourself out there, who, this coaching business, who are you doing it? Who are you primarily doing it for?
To help people that are really suffering, like with mental health, and that feel like they are alone and they've got no one to turn to, no one to talk to, and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I want to be that person before they spiral out of, like, into the darkness, even more into the darkness. And then obviously, you know, the more they go in, obviously there's severe consequences of like suicide. So I want to be that person to, before they spiral into that darkness.
So what you're saying is, you want to prevent people from committing suicide.
Yeah. And especially more in men, because they don't have anyone to talk to. They feel like they have to put on a front in fear of losing their masculinity. They don't talk to their partners because they've got to be seen as the strong one, the provider. They don't talk to their friends. Whereas with women, it's easier because they've got friends to talk to. They're busy with their kids or working. Whereas men, they don't have that outlet. If they don't have like leisure, if they're not going to the gym, or if they're not haven't got that outlet with whatever they like doing, then it's very quickly that they spiral out of not control, but into that, you know, that deep darkness where they just can't get out of it and they feel like they've got no way out.
And the worst case scenario being commit suicide.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is you have a fear of putting yourself out there, but you know that the consequences, if you don't, people commit suicide.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping to be like the bridge to stop them from getting to that point. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know what it feels like, because I've suffered with depression myself since a teenager. So I know how it feels to be in that really dark space with them dark thoughts. And like I said, if you don't have that outlet, if you don't have that support, then it's very hard to get out of that darkness and into the light.
Yeah. I'm just going to say it as it is. If you don't put yourself out there, said with love, then you're being fucking selfish. Because you told me that people could potentially commit suicide. you have experienced what it's like to feel that dark, but now you're not putting yourself out there for fear of judgment, which actually means that there are people that potentially could commit suicide because you're too busy focused on yourself and thinking of what other people think of you, rather than thinking about the people who could commit suicide if they don't get exposed to your coaching.
Yeah. And I've had people say, like, where I post like motivational, uplifting, like power strength, like quotes and things like that, and people have said like, oh, you know, thank you for posting that, that's really helped me. I wasn't in a great place, but that's given me like a bit of strength or like motivation. So I know, like, with my words, it does help people, but I just don't know why I have this block or this like fear. Which is very frustrating.
Well, let's explore that then, shall we? When you were growing up, Hellen, whose love did you crave the most? Not whose love did you have the most, whose love did you crave the most? For example, the love that I craved the most was my dad, because he wasn't there. So that's whose love I crave the most. Whose love did you crave the most as a child?
I wouldn't say family, because I'm Greek. We're quite close knitted anyway, and quite flat family orientated. But I think with like relationships, because it was just constantly bad relationship, bad relationship, bad relationship, I felt like what's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough? Why am I not good enough for someone to like stay with and like build like a family and a future and want to settle down? So from every relationship, I've just felt like rejected, brokenhearted. What's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough? So yeah, soul crushing.
So I still would love to know the answer to the question, growing up as a child, which of your parents' love did you crave the most?
Probably my dad, because he was more stricter than my mum.
Okay. And who did you have to be? Like, how did you have to behave for you to get your dad to validate you?
A good Greek girl. Don't do no wrong. Don't. Yeah. No boyfriends.
No boyfriend. Okay.
No makeup. No nail varnish. Be a good little prim and proper girl.
Okay. So no boyfriends, no makeup. So basically, your dad wanted you to be a boy.
He was very old-fashioned.
Right. Did your dad have a boy?
Yeah. I've got an older brother.
Right. And what happened if you didn't adhere to your dad's rules about being a good Greek girl, no boyfriends and no makeup?
He'd be very, very angry.
Okay. And then when he got angry, what did you do then?
Run. Run and hide, or just stay out of his way.
Stay out of his way. And what would happen if you continued to defy that, or did you then revert back to being a good Greek girl?
Yeah, keeping his good books.
How do you feel that experience of how your dad wanted you to be? How do you feel like that shaped you today? What's been some of the positives that have come from the way that your dad raised you?
I don't know, because I had quite a troubled childhood. Nothing to do with my parents. Obviously, being a teenager, you like go off the rails, and it was quite severe. I was like a runaway child, so And if it weren't for my mum like chasing me and trying to bring me back, then I wouldn't be here now. I'd probably be off the rails.
What were you running away?
Life, my life, yeah.
What was so bad that you had to run away?
I just felt like I just wanted my freedom.
And what was going on in the home dynamic that made you feel that you weren't free?
Well, my parents went through a divorce, but they still stayed together in the same house because of my sister, my older sister, who's passed away now 2 years ago. Because she had a lot of health problems, they still stayed together. Like I said, like Greek family, we're family orientated, so they never went their separate ways. Even though they were separated, they were divorced, they still stayed in the same house because of my sister. She needed 24-hour care, so they were still together but not together. But because life was just so strict, and because I got in a bad crowd at school, I just ran away because of the friends of peer pressure. Left school before I'd done my GCSEs because I was bullied at school, and I was suffering with my depression and anxiety. So yeah, it hasn't been an easy life.
I'm sorry to hear about your sister.
Okay. Oh, and my dad as well this year. So my sister and my dad in the space of 2 years.
Hmm. Do you believe that you can communicate with people when they've passed on? Do you believe in that?
Yes, 100%. I'm very spiritual, so I know I talk to my angels when I'm like really having a bad day and I'm suffering and I can't get out of it. I pray to my angels and my guides, and God. And then obviously when I need guidance, I speak to my sister, and my dad, and I tell them to like look after the kids as well, like watch over my kids, because I've got a 16-year-old and a 9-year-old, no, 10-year-old. So I tell them to like watch over them. So yeah, I believe in all that.
So you've got a 16 and a 10-year-old?
Yeah, 16-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl.
Wow.
Single parent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What's life about for you, Hellen?
Being a good parent, having the stability for my children, and being able to help people that are suffering.
And where right now would you say you're making a contribution to something that is bigger than yourself?
I mean, I help motivate people with like my daily posts, but that's about it. I mean, obviously being like qualified in master coaching now, and I'm trying to get that going, obviously. Yeah, with the coaching calls, that's helping. But I'm not where I want to be, and I have such big vision of like where I want to be, and it's just I feel like I take one step forward and then like 10 steps back. I just feel like I'm a snail.
Have you ever Googled the environmental benefits of a snail?
No.
Okay, maybe you should. Okay. I didn't used to like snails, and then I decided to take it upon myself to read the environmental benefits, and they're actually a really important part of the ecosystem. There's a lot of algae and things that they digest, which helps something to do with the oxygen in the air. Like they're actually a really, really key.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're actually quite a key component of our ecosystem.
Amazing.
And unfortunately, they're part of this fable that says that if you're a snail, you're slow, which, you know, it's funny because off air, those of you that are watching won't know that when we first got on air, I said to Helen, how are you? And she said, busy, busy, busy. And I said, do you like being busy? I said, because I don't. I said, I feel like it's an old paradigm from maybe decades ago that said if you're busy, that means that you're successful. And I don't feel that the paradigm is necessarily appropriate in today's day and age, because there are a lot of people that are busy that are dropping down dead because they having strokes and heart attacks and stuff. And we were just riffing on that for a little while. But it's interesting that you use this, you know, 1 step forward, 10 steps back. Sometimes I think, in fact, I'm just going to say it about you. I think you're being really hard on yourself. Stepping out of coach mode for a second. I think you've been really hard on yourself. Your dad passed away this year.
Yeah.
Your sister passed away 2 years ago. Your sister passed away 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You got a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old. You're a single parent, and you're putting positive motivational messages out to help other people.
Yeah.
And we're currently in a pandemic. Most people are just complaining about the pandemic. I think you're being fucking hard on yourself. I don't think the problem for you is the problem. I think the problem is, one of the things I talk about with clients is that, and this is something that I experienced. I had my coach me on this years ago. She said, do you ever stop to, she said to me, do you ever stop to recognize how far you've come and what you've achieved in terms of your external and also your internal growth and development? I said, not really. And she started to, because she'd worked with me for over a year, she started to reel off how she perceived that I'd changed and grown in the past year. And most of which, Helen, I had not even contemplated. And I actually got very emotional because I was like, how can this person see this about me and I can't see it? Even though in that moment I knew it was true. Like I heard it and I was like, yeah, that's the external things. I was like, yeah, they've actually happened. And then the growth of me as a person, I was like, yeah, that's happened too. And the fact that she could see it and I couldn't see it made me feel like, kind of like questioned, like, what am I doing? What am I striving for if I don't take the time to just acknowledge how far I've come? And I think many of us, our self-esteem, our self-worth is intrinsically tied to the validation or invalidation of other people.
Yeah. And
what that does is, the problem with that is, if someone validates you, it may seem good on paper. For example, I hate award ceremonies. I don't like award ceremonies. And the reason why is because for me, it's external validation. And I don't like external validation because the problem with it for me is it's ego massaging. Yeah. I had an award ceremony recently that I was invited to, and they kind of hinted, you're going to win an award. And I made a reason to not be there. Now that's an issue within me. And one of the things I will not ever say here as a coach for coaches is that I don't still have my own stuff. I'll never say that. But for me, any time where there's potentially some external validation, I check myself, because although it's good on paper to get an ego massage and a gold star, the problem is that can be taken away.
Yeah.
And so I believe that the biggest opportunity and blind spot for a lot of people, maybe other people that are watching, is that things that Helen has talked about, Helen, confidence, imposter syndrome, putting yourself out there. I believe that the reason why that comes up for people is because they are seeking the validation of others and are almost waiting, hoping that someone somewhere out there will say, Helen, you are enough. And the problem with waiting for someone to say that is if they never say it, you could go through your whole life waiting for someone to say it. It's like your dad wanted you to be a good Greek girl, no boyfriends, no makeup. And I was going to start to get into how is the dynamic now. And then you told me that he's passed away. And I know for a fact that there are people that I've met that waited and wanted their parents to say the perfect thing to make them feel like they're worthy and they're enough because they didn't tell them as a child. And then they're gone. And so the problem with that is it's proof that, like, I also know people whose parents told them every single day from childhood that they were enough, and now they're gone. And now they're left feeling like they're not enough because their parent isn't there to now tell them that they're enough. So you've got the child turned into an adult whose parent didn't tell them they're enough, complaining that their parent is now passed on, and they never got them to speak that motivational, you are amazing, you are enough, the way that they did when they're a child. And then you've got the child become parent, become adult, who did have that all the time, is now like, well, who's going to tell me that now? Because now my parent's gone. And I use parent just as an example because as a child, the validation that we most seek and want is our parents. Initially, we get it. And then some point around teenage era, it kind of goes away. And the way out of that is to really intentionally, for me, my coach said, Miles, here's what I want you to do. She said, I want you to, for the next 7 days, write down on paper everything good about you, everything that you're proud of, everything that you've achieved, how you developed as a person, as a character. For the next 7 days, I want you to write a list of 20 things every day. And I've done this with clients, and I've had clients text me on day 3 or day 2 in tears because they've said, I've never validated myself. I've never given myself that level of praise and self-love. Your problem, Helen, is not confidence. It's not imposter syndrome. Your problem is not about public speaking and pretending you're something you're not. The problem is your self-worth has been too intrinsically tied into what other people think of you, rather than you spending time going, what does Helen think of Helen? No one's opinion of you matters more than you think of yourself.
It's just hard because when you've taken a bashing for so long from any kind of relationship, whether it's like a romantic relationship, whether it's a friend relationship, whether it's whatever kind of relationship it is, when you've taken a bashing and like people have done you not wrong, but like they've disrespected you and they haven't valued your worth, it's kind of like heartbreaking and soul crushing, and it's like it's hard to have that self-worth.
And do you know why people have treated you that way? Because you haven't had the self-worth in the first place. So if your self-worth was really high, those motherfuckers wouldn't have even got into your life in the first place. Yeah, people treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So the bad thing is people have treated you badly. The good thing is, if you see it that the reason why they've treated you badly is because you allowed them to treat you badly, then that means to get people to treat you well moving forward, whether it's partner or friends, whoever it is, ultimately that is on you to treat you better.
Yeah.
I'm
I
doing
need
a
to fill
course.
my cup up first.
Yeah, but that's a cliched saying that everybody's heard before. The question is, are you willing to actually do the work?
Yeah, I am now, because I've gotten to the point where it's like, I know I'm meant for so much more, and I know that I'm supposed to be out there helping people. And because of all of these blocks and fears, and it's held me back for so long, for so many years. And it's like, it's hurting me. It's hurting my soul. I can feel my soul screaming at me, saying, just go out there, do it. You're protected, you're guided. It's like, this is what you're meant for. And it's like, I can feel the hurt inside, just like wanting to get out and release it and just go out and help people. And it's gotten to that point where it's like, enough's enough now. So yeah, I'm at that point now.
Good. I want to do an exercise with you. I'd like you to close your eyes. And just focus on your breathing. In fact, take 3 really deep breaths, deeper than you've taken all day. You can even moan if you like. I want you to imagine, Helen, that you are standing in a field, beautiful field, tall yellow flowers in this field. And it's a beautiful, beautiful warm summer's day. And you're strolling through this field. As you stroll through this field, you come across a big oak tree. Beautiful oak tree. The leaves are as green as they could ever possibly be. And as you approach this oak tree, you see there's a little girl sat underneath the tree reading a book. And you approach this little girl and you look at her and she looks familiar to you. And you realize she's you. Little Helen, little innocent Helen, relaxing, reading under that tree. This Helen hasn't had the challenges that you've had. She's got a whole life ahead of her. In this moment, there's an opportunity for little Helen to speak to big Helen, because there's an innocence about her where she's not been affected by all the things that you've been affected by yet. And in this moment, little Helen wants to speak to you and give you some really beautiful guidance and advice. And what I'd love to ask you now is to speak now as if you are little Helen speaking to big Helen. What does little Helen say?
Don't you let anyone tell you you are not good enough. You are strong, you are powerful, you're beautiful, and you have the strength within to overcome anything and achieve everything.
Such wisdom from such a young child. Amazing. You say goodbye to little Helen, taking that wisdom with you. Maybe put your hand on your heart as if to take that in, so that that is fully ingrained within you. and you wave a goodbye, knowing that she's always inside you now. And you may gently open your eyes.
It's quite emotional. Sorry.
You are enough, Helen.
I am enough. Sorry.
Stop apologizing. We're trained, I think, to apologize for showing emotion. Where showing emotion as a child for you, was that something that was normal, frowned upon? Were you meant to keep your emotions in?
I felt like I had to be like the strong one because of everything that happened to me, from like the bullying, running away, having my kids. I was also the father of my children. It was like an abusive relationship as well. So I just felt like I was always have to be the strong one, and I've just like never. I've always given even though I've always given my all to people in relationships and friendships, and I've been rejected. It's like I feel like I've got so much to give, but then I feel like I've held it back a lot as well, because I had to be the strong one. I had to be seen as the strong one. I can't let my feelings be seen for people to take advantage of. So I'm like, it's like a battle between my head and my heart, and being like strong or showing my emotions.
Here's what I'm hearing you say. It's actually not a battle between head and heart. It's a battle between masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
My mum was a single parent, and I know that, like, she was and not so much now, because now she's been in a loving relationship for about 18 years. But when she was single and my dad left, my mum became very masculine. She became a hard ass bitch, basically. Because the problem is that when a female doesn't have the masculine in her life as a male figure, she has to then become masculine and feminine, especially with you having children.
Yeah.
And so to ensure that there is balance between masculine and feminine, there are some, because I don't think masculine energy is your problem. I think feminine energy is your problem. And the problem with feminine energy, if we think about it, and it doesn't mean female and male, it means masculine energies go out and achieve. So to build your coaching business does need a lot of masculine energy. However, to put yourself out there requires feminine energy. It requires vulnerability. And the feminine part of you doesn't, my interpretation, the feminine energy part of you doesn't like vulnerability. And the reason why it doesn't like vulnerability is because you've had loss and you've had abuse. So when you've shown your feminine, you've had people abuse that and take that for granted?
That's true. Very true.
Yeah. And so what we've got to do is we've got to, firstly, this process of filling up your self with love, the writing down the things that you're proud of for 7 days. That's one thing for us to do. Something else that I think that will be really, really, really helpful is to start to think about, let me ask you actually, this is a question. What is something that, I'm just going to go back to the notes from the, what is something that you have done in the past for you that you considered to be very feminine?
I think after my 2 children, where I put on so much weight, I was never into fitness at all. And then a friend of mine got me into the gym. And obviously I started losing the weight and I was getting my confidence and I was feeling happy in myself, that I really wanted to do something as like a celebration and like something totally out of my comfort zone, because I had that confidence. So I decided to do a bodybuilding competition and step on stage in a bikini. And I loved it so much because I had that confidence and I was happy within myself, and I had that love for myself because I'd lost all of that weight. So I ended up doing 7 competitions in 2017, and then because I was just so exhausted from the competitions, I only done 2 in 2018. So I've done like 9 bodybuilding competitions, and then I went on to creating a fitness brand where I help athletes get opportunities from collaborated brands and to help them along their journey with their competitions. So like sponsorships from bikini companies, supplement companies, gym wear. So the brand first started like that, and then it's branding off into like the coaching side of things as well. So like fitness coaching, NLP. I've done NLP. I'm currently doing counselling and psychology. I've done the master coach. I've done Reiki and meditation. So it's like an umbrella brand of like helping people in all different areas. So it's like a mind, body, and spirit. So yeah, after I had that confidence, and then obviously because of like everything that went on personally, it's just like, and relationships, and yeah, I've just like slowly like gone back into my shell.
Okay, amazing. By the way, I'm going to challenge that those things that you've said. It's amazing. You talked about bodybuilding, which in its core is a very masculine thing. In its core, it was something that historically men did and then women joined. But the art of bodybuilding is to build the body and to build the muscle, which is a very masculine thing to do. And it's great that women are doing it, because I think it's really empowering to see women doing that. But it's a very masculine thing, because it's about achieving and obtaining a goal and a status and a placing and a etc. And also about, there is a high degree of validation, invalidation from other people, depending on how you place and how you look and all that stuff. Then the creation of the brands and helping other people is a great thing to contribute. But again, anything that's entrepreneurial, that's very driven, achieve, obtain, acquire, is also very masculine. So I want to ask you something. I'll set you a bit of a challenge, actually. What is something, Hellen, that you would consider really, really, really girly, that in your mind you go, fuck, that's way too girly for me?
I don't know, probably like getting my nails done.
Or do you ever get your nails done?
No.
Okay. How come? Okay.
Short and sweet.
So would you be up for me setting you a challenge?
Yeah.
I want you to, and maybe the season to be jolly is the time to do it.
Yeah.
I want you to either, and I know a little bit about nails because my wife gets her nails done. And she doesn't have big fancy nails the way that she used to because now we've got Sage. But I want to set you a challenge to get your nails done.
Oh my God.
And I want you to get them to be, I want them to be as extreme as you're willing to be without it being to the point where you literally couldn't do. So there's women that get like the big nails. If you have some form of work that would not allow you to do that, that's fine. But if you know that you could feasibly live with big whopping giant colored nails for Christmas, if you know that you could like handle things with them, I want you to consider getting some form of fancy painted acrylic nails where you sit down in a salon, get your feet and your hands done. Are you up for the challenge?
Well, actually, I have got an Xmas do on the 18th, so it would be a good opportunity to.
There you go. There you go. So what, can I hold you accountable to doing that and messaging me a picture of your nails when they're done?
Yeah.
Make sure I've not got dirty nails today. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So that's your challenge. 2 challenges. One is a homework. For the next 7 days, I want you to write down, push for 20, but don't worry if you can't come up with 20. Push for 20 things to write down that you're proud of about you, how you've grown as a woman, raising the kids, how you've got through the difficult relationships, how you've dealt with the losses that you've had. And if you repeat the same things every day, it doesn't matter. I just want you to see what it feels like for 7 days to write down all the things that are great about you, to start filling up your self-love pot. And then second is about you leaning into your doing something for you that's very feminine, to help to start to balance out the fact that you rightly have to spend a lot of time in your masculine because of the way you've been raised, because of the relationships that you've had, and because you're an incredibly courageous single mom. So self-love and a wacky, crazy, super feminine thing. And then I want you to maybe even consider scheduling something in once a month that is really, really feminine. Spa day, hair, massage, shopping, maybe even like I'm noticing right now, I'm observing you in black. Do you wear bright colors?
Okay. Always black.
Okay. Yeah. Again, very masculine, right? To wear black. So I want you to consider, maybe you get a stupid Christmas sweatshirt. You wouldn't get me wearing something stupid like that. maybe get yourself a stupid, brightly colored Christmas hat or something that is what for you go, I would never do that. Know that is just a belief and a pattern that's running that's been designed to protect you. And know that the only person it's protecting you from is you truly loving you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe, for example, like, again, I'm seeing really thick. Has your hair always been thick jet black?
No, this is a extension.
Okay.
Because my hair is just
what color was your hair naturally when you were like a little girl?
dark brown.
Okay. Cool.
I'm like,
and do you color your eyebrows as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And would they be naturally just dark brown too?
Yeah. Not dark brown. They'd be black, but not like black.
Okay. You make them darker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mascara.
So for now, we're just going to go with the nails.
Okay.
But I want you to then just start to think about how you could allow yourself to be more feminine, just for yourself. Because with you filling up your self-love pot, allowing yourself to be more feminine will help to balance out your masculine and feminine energy, which will in turn make you feel better, which means that you will, going back to something you said really early on about pretending you're something you're not, would it be fair to say that dyeing your hair, coloring your eyebrows is almost like putting a mask on of being something that isn't the natural you?
Yeah.
I'd say even bodybuilding to an extent, even the natural bodybuilding competitions, it requires the body to transform into a way that isn't natural to be kept 365 days. Because I've got friends that have done non-natural bodybuilding and friends that have done natural, and even the ones that do natural say, I couldn't fucking stay like this all the time. They'd be like they would just go insane. So it's not natural, right? Even natural bodybuilding isn't natural. The body's craving, give me some pizza or give me some salt or something. It's craving it. It's not natural.
Yeah.
You know.
100%.
So I want you to do those two things and just let me know how you get on and let me know how they feel for you.
Okay.
Don't worry about the confidence and the imposter syndrome and the putting yourself out there. The reason why you're not putting yourself out there is because they say on an airplane, don't put your children's oxygen mask on till you put your own on. Right now, I believe there's not enough oxygen coming into your mask. So the more you fill yourself up, don't worry about everybody else right now. Don't even worry about motivational videos right now. Pause that for a little while you just start to fill up your own self-love part. And then watch how naturally you will feel more inclined to put yourself out there when you know you're then not trying to pretend that you're something that you're not. Most people's biggest problem is that they think that vulnerability is a weakness when it's actually a strength. If you haven't seen it, last thing I'm going to say, and this for everybody's benefit, if you've not seen Brené Brown's documentary on Netflix, it's called A Call to Courage. So I want you to, have you got Netflix, Helen?
Yeah.
Okay, there's your Netflix to watch for tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
I want you to watch Brené Brown, Brene Brown, and it's called A Call, as in call to courage.
To courage. I need that.
And then you'll probably watch it, and then you'll probably want to binge watch and read everything that Brené's ever done, which I have. Braving the Wilderness. There's an audio on vulnerability, which is amazing. Her TED talk on vulnerability is incredible. But yeah, it will be some great lessons on vulnerability for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Helen, I'm going to take you off the coaching hot seat and say you're amazing. You're enough. Great to have you on with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.